On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, what's the key to success for the Oklahoma City Thunder after a blowout win over the Chicago Bulls?
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member, and inside the Thunder beat writer, Thunder on SI, beat writer Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LO ThunderPod. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. Make your second listen Locked On NBA, specifically Locked On NBA game nights, which I host on Saturday nights following the entire slate of Saturday night games. We hop on Locked On NBA with Gavin Shaw to break it all down for you, get you set for Sunday. And that show happens Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, where you can find me. We have a great team over there breaking down all the NBA. Go check out Locked On NBA, and it does not end there. In the middle of the day, Monday through Friday, you're going to get Matt Moore talking about the biggest storylines with Hayes, with Doug Branson as well. So check out Locked On NBA after this show is over. We have all the teams for you, even Locked On Bulls. You can see how they're reacting to this lopsided win for Oklahoma City. Thunder are 2-0, just as they were a year ago entering the second night of a back-to-back, which happened to be their home opener, which happened to be pretty forgettable. But nonetheless, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, the Thunder have two dominating wins over their belt, running the Denver Nuggets off of their home floor Thursday and embarrassing the Chicago Bulls. I mean, the Bulls had no direction. I don't really believe that they have any conviction with what they're trying to do. Are they trying to play the young guys? Are they not trying to play the young guys? And the secret to success for the Thunder is that the Thunder aren't only better than you, they work harder than you, they hustle more than you, they do all the little things right, and they play fundamental basketball better than you. Because this is yet another game where you walk away from it saying, man, the Thunder didn't really play their best basketball. But yet they had a 25-point lead, and they win in this one 114-95. The other team does not crack 100 points for two straight games. But what keeps you around whenever you shoot 20% from three, this team has lived up to their preseason calling card of going to shoot more threes, gonna be more involved on the perimeter. The shots just have not fallen yet. But what keeps you in it whenever you shoot 20% from three is working on the glass. And while they did lose the battle of the rebounds in total, 61-54, that is a really competitive number whenever you give the context of the Thunder do not have a backup center right now. Like literally, they do not have a backup center. But what can you do to make up for that lack of size? You can play harassing defense and be an absolute pest, which they were, to the tune of 26 Chicago Bulls turnovers. The Bulls shot 34% from the floor as a team. They shot 28% from three. And at the end of the day, you might look at this game and say, well, the Thunder just had the Bulls number. Shai started out 0 for 5. Like, they ended the night still only shooting 20% from three. Like not everything went right for Oklahoma City, but they're just going to outwork you. And defense turns into offense. They're going to make those timely back-breaking plays that eventually snowballs on you, and that snowball turns into an avalanche, and that's the key to success. Because pretty soon the dam will break, and they will just be flat out better than you, and they're going to be raining in triples. Shai's going to play at that top 5 in the league level. J-Dub's going to have it clicking all at the same time, plus with their harassing defense, and they're just going to blow the roof off of somebody. But they're able to create separation. They're able to get these big wins because they're going to outwork you right now. And that's the difference. So many times in the past in the NBA, you've seen embarrassment of riches teams, like teams that are just overwhelmed with talent that can't overcome a bad shooting night. Because whenever they shoot bad, they say, well, we're going to get them next time. Let's pack it in and go home. Eventually, the ball will bounce our way and we'll be fine. For the Thunder, they're going to scrap and claw and fight their way out of a poor situation. And Then once they do that, like once they recover from whatever stumble, which 2 straight games, 2 straight stumbles out of the block, or at least not playing good basketball out of the block, once they recover, there's no turning back for you. And so it just really puts your opponents in a bad spot. So I just think that this Thunder team is so deep top to bottom, even without their front court rotation, and they work so hard that how do you ever put this team away? How do you ever, overcome this team? Now they're not going to go 82-0, but man, they certainly look good. And I think that through 2 games, you look around the Western Conference, we talked about this on Locked On NBA today. I think that the Thunder have separated themselves from the top of the West because I can't depend on the top of the West to play this hard for the entire season, to play this hard every single night. Plus, they just have more top-end talent at the end of the day as well. So I think that the Thunder have removed themselves from that jumble mess of Denver, Dallas, Minnesota, who are all formidable opponents, who will all be there in the end, and who all could overcome the Thunder in the end. But as of right now, I think that the Thunder are playing worlds better than those teams, all while still not putting out better than a B-plus game. They've only had 2 chances at it, and I don't think that the dam will break today. I would really caution, as expectations skyrocket, hey, this is a team who's going to be playing on the second night of a travel back-to-back, where they're traveling from Chicago to Oklahoma City. They're going to face the Hawks, who have been spunky this season. They don't have the depth, right? Chet took a lot of mighty falls in this game, and he's your only center. I would caution people from just thinking that they're going to just curb stomp the Hawks. But by the same token, they're certainly going to fight. And when this team puts up that fight, we see what it eventually snowballs into. So you really just cannot count the Thunder out of any game this year. And that's why I feel so bullish on this team winning 60-plus games. Is because they're going to provide the fight like this. And we haven't even gotten to the portion of the season where they're clicking on all cylinders, where they're looking from top to bottom like the best team in the West. They're just outworking you. They just want it more than you. And that's the most damning part over the last 2 games. This would have been a critical pickup for the Bulls. It certainly would have been a massive pickup for the Nuggets in game 1. And with all the context around the Thunder, it would have been explainable losses, but they just did not let that happen. They did not rest. And they just forced turnovers and forced havoc and leaned on that defense. And eventually, you'll play complementary basketball. I 100% believe that eventually this will be a team who sits in the top 5 of offense, top 5 of defense. I think they'll be top 3 in both again this year, where they're just elite on both ends. But for now, that defense can make up for what you've been lacking offensively as an entire unit. And you've been patchworking it together through great performances from Chet, through getting out in transition, and through other factors. But eventually, I'm just so excited to see what this team looks like whenever it all comes together. And it will. It will for this team. Coming up, let's talk a little bit more about this game and get you set for Sunday. But first, I want to say right now, our good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today, because you can start this season with a bang at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So you can do live lines in-game. You can do spreads, player props, over-unders, whatever you want to do, you can do at FanDuel and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed win or lose, on your first $5 bet. Go check them out today at FanDuel. And when you do, go check out the NBA lines, because you know that you love the NBA, and you can make it a little bit more exciting by sprinkling some quiche on the NBA, like tonight's game with the Thunder and the Hawks, or a headline game such as the Clippers and the Warriors, where the Clippers are 9.5-point underdogs on the road. They've been spunky. The Thunder, 9.5-point favorites against Atlanta on the second night of a back-to-back. Woo! Go check it out today at FanDuel. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you, talking Thunder basketball. Let's talk Thunder Hawks. The Thunder get a massive win over the Chicago Bulls, but we'll talk Thunder Hawks in a minute. Josh Giddey, you understood he was going to get up for this game. He's been a big game player in his career, but held in relative check. 14 points, 7 boards, 4 assists. He tried to put back dunk, which just, I think, showed how amped he was. You got the great picture, which is the thumbnail of this video, of him reuniting with his former Thunder teams, and he showered the organization in praise. And it just continues to affirm what we've said all summer long. This was a trade that is beneficial for each side. There should be no ill will toward either side of like, hey, Giddey did not want to come off the bench. Giddey's going to thrive in Chicago. And the Thunder got better. And you saw how they got better in this game by comparing and contrasting how the Bulls were forced to play Chet Holmgren. You can take up in arms. You can die on whatever hill you want to die on with Josh Giddey. The bottom line is the simple fact that the Bulls had to play the Thunder straight up 1 through 5 and put their center on Chet Holmgren is the exact reason why you make this trade. You don't have to look hardly any deeper than that. There are other underlying factors, but that's a big one. That is a massive one where no matter who shares the floor with Chet Holmgren, you cannot park the center on them, leave them alone on the perimeter, to camp in the paint, and let a more athletic player go guard Chet on the perimeter. You've got to take your center out there. And while Chet has not made a three this year, look at those 3-point attempts. Like, go through and watch them on NBA.com on the box score. Watch every single attempt. They are generating great looks for Chet. And eventually, I believe those are going to fall. And speaking of 3-point attempts, I just love how the Thunder have stuck true to their training camp messaging. SGA took 9 3-point attempts. J-Dub took 4. Chet took 5. Like, they're going to shoot the ball. And last year, they were top in percentage and 16th in 3-point attempts per game. You want to get that closer, to top half of the league and in the top half of the league if you're the Thunder in terms of attempts, because that's how you win in the modern NBA, and they have the talented enough shooters to do so. Alex Caruso made his first bucket as a member of the Thunder. He was a positive impact again defensively, just flustering the Bulls, and you saw his impact whenever he chased down a Zach LaVine transition bucket where it would have been a bucket. He chased it down, he gets the deflection, and Zach LaVine doesn't even complain about it to the refs. He just understands, hey, Caruso legitimately got the ball, and he's just that much of a menace defensively. But you're seeing how they're able to get deflections, get steals, frustrate defenses, and then they're about to add another rim protector who can clean the glass and who can play physical in Isaiah Hartenstein in 5 to 6 weeks, which I think will take them to another level. And in this game, they switched up the starting unit again. Cason Wallace starts instead of Joe, who started the season opener. Alex Caruso has not started yet for the Thunder. I wonder if he'll start on Sunday against Atlanta. I fully believe that this team will be fluid in their starting lineup. I think that once the dust settles and once you rotate through this period and you get Hartenstein back and you trial and tribulation things, I think that your shell starting 5 will be Shai, Caruso, Dort, Dub, Chet. If you need to play bigger, you'll play Hartenstein in the starting 5. And if you want to mix things up, of course, with more shooting out of the gate, you can go Joe. The reason I just believe it's going to be Caruso is, one, he's an all-world defender, which we can see sets the tone to start games, even if the shots aren't falling. And 2, yes, is Isaiah Joe a better shooter than Alex Caruso? Absolutely he is. But the drop-off is not steep enough, to me, to outweigh the benefit of having Caruso on the floor to start games and to send a message defensively. So that's why I think that eventually it'll be Caruso. But the early returns of this season have shown the Thunder are going to be able to be flexible in that 5th starter spot, and they're going to be able to maximize each game that way. So I don't think that they're certainly married to any one thing. This is a bonus podcast, so it won't be as long as normal. Aaron Wiggins was spectacular. Now, the minutes in this game are going to be wonky. Like, for example, Wiggins only played 15 minutes. I don't think that this is cause for concern. And you know that I've been beating the drum over the last couple of years of more Wiggins, more Wiggins, more Wiggins. But this game was like in garbage time for 3/4 of it. So, and you're on the front end of a back-to-back. So I don't think that the 15-minute mark is going to be a routine for him. Just as I don't think that Isaiah Joe will only play 11 minutes. Just as I don't think that Lou Dort will only play 24 minutes. Like, I just think that it was a combination of, hey, this game was all academic, as Chris Fisher would say. From about the middle of the second quarter, it felt like you were really in control. So I just think that that's a testament to that. But what an impact that Aaron Wiggins makes on both ends. He's loving getting to that spin move at the rim. He had 8 points today. He's hauling in rebounds. He's pitching in defensively at such a versatile level. I just really like it from him. I like what we saw from Shai. Starts out 0 for 5 and keeps shooting. He gets downhill more after that 0 for 5 start, but he does balance it with still shooting, going 2 for 9 from 3. And then eventually gets to 23 points while shooting 42% from the floor. I just think that Shai recovered very nicely, and if this game would have lended itself to needing to play him more, he would have had a normal stat line, despite that poor start, a rare poor start from him. Chet Holmgren, career high in rebounds, 16 boards, 21 points, another double-double, 2 blocks, and a steal. There's just no containing Chet. Like, think about this. Chet, again, went 8 for 18. He missed five three-pointers. Like, it's just so hard to contain him inside the arc. And when the shots start falling from beyond the arc, oh my goodness. I think that you're watching an all-star in Chet Holmgren. And then J-Dub, as we expected, bounced back in this one in a big way. 24 points on 45% shooting. He had a couple shots that would have altered his field goal percentage to look like the more traditional, overwhelming, efficient game that just did not roll his way. But he looked every bit himself in this one. 9 boards, 8 assists. Like, he was on triple-double watch at times. I wonder, again, had this game been competitive, could he have gotten to that triple-double mark for himself, as he was only a board away from double digits and a couple away in the assist category with how much the Thunder get up and run. You could have seen some easy assists coming for J-Dub had he played a little bit more. So, he was on it tonight as well. I thought that Lu Dort played his role very well, and we have to give a massive shout to Usman Jang. Usman Jang, whenever the Bulls put up really their last fight of the evening, they had an opportunity at the rim. Us sends it away, gets a block at the rim. That sparks a fast break, and that was really the exclamation point on this big win. So, Us did his job very well. I know that he went 0 for 4 from 3, but it was the quickness of which he took those shots and the assertion he did. He had a massive and one on the break in transition that I think he went up strong with and looked different than before. I just think that overall, Us is doing his job. And yes, his job is not going to be to fill the stat sheet and to steal the headlines, but he is doing his job. He's doing what's expected of him, and he's playing with more offensive force. And that's the key buzzword from Cam Woods, the Blue head coach, from Mark, the Thunder head coach, of course. Those guys have always talked to us about needing to get Us to play with more force. And I've had many conversations with both those guys asking them about Usman Jang. An offensive force is the biggest phrase that keeps coming back to him. I think he's finally found it this season. And when the Thunder have needed him the most, we can talk about Us and what he has or has not contributed to the NBA level. They've never, ever, ever needed him like they need him right now, with no J. Will, no Kenrich, no Hartenstein, and he's delivered. He's really, really delivered. AJ Mitchell got to play 15 minutes. I think that if it was a more competitive game, it was trending more so like the 6 to 8 marker that you saw on Thursday in Denver for AJ. But of course, got to stretch your legs a little bit in a non-competitive game. But AJ's just been really special on the defensive end. He understands where to be. He's quick in rotation. He's been really good defensively, up to speed, 2 steals in this one. You saw that even though it did not show up in the box score, he forced a couple turnovers in Denver. And I just think that offense is going to come around. You give him more opportunity. In this game, he knocks down a couple buckets, but he makes the right reads offensively, and he gets to his spots fairly well offensively too, to where I think that he can really show some things on that offensive end. I'm curious to see, with the G League draft today, the G League starts, in the next 2 weeks. I'm curious to see when or what the plan looks like for him in the G League. It seems like just the writing on the wall of you're down your front court, and in 2 games you've not played Dylan Jones until the very bitter end. You've put him in whenever the game is legitimately over. He played 1 minute against Denver and only 3 in this game. It seems like they want to put Dylan Jones in the G League. I would imagine the same is true for AJ Mitchell, but I'm just very curious what their plan will be for those 2 guys once they do have that route to go. Similar to like if you see people freaking out about the news about Brownie going to the G League. Well, yeah, of course they're going to do it after the road trip. There is no G League to go to right now. Like I don't think that people realize the G League does not start with the NBA. It's like minor league baseball where you break spring training, you start your season, and then a couple weeks later, here's minor league baseball. So it'll happen the same way with the G League. The Blue made a couple draft picks. You can go check that out on Twitter. I don't think that they'll make a ton of impact, but it's worth a shot on the G League draft front. But this was a really impressive game from Oklahoma City. We'll be in Oklahoma City tomorrow for the home opener against the Hawks. I'll have Locked On Thunder stickers if you want any and you're in attendance. We'll be back to recap that game on Monday and start another loaded week of Locked On Thunder. So subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. And until then, be good and be good to one.